Today on Project 47, we take the old T90 transmission and the Dana 18 transfer case, tear all the rusty, rotten parts out of it, put a whole bunch of new parts into it, and make it just as good as new. So looking back through some old footage, this is actually how I found the old Jeep. There's the spare engine transmission transfer case getting hauled out. This is the engine to transmission transfer case that I ended up using. The spare engine actually had the head pulled off, but this one was still intact, still unmolested, so that was the one I chose to do. And one of the first things I did was pull the bell housing off, get that all cleaned up. Seemed like about the simplest part to rebuild, so it went pretty quick. It was just a matter of clean it up, sandblast it, give her a fresh coat of paint, give her some red insulating varnish on the inside. There, boom, bell housing done. Step one. So I figured the next best place to start would be the transfer case. So here we are. Transfer case has been split from the transmission. As you can see, it was in pretty rough shape. It was kind of a ball of shit. We managed to get it all tore apart, and then I started taking apart the internal. So I popped off some covers, had a look inside, and found this kind of stuff. So yeah, it was pretty ugly on the inside. It was filled with water. I'm kind of surprised that the case hadn't cracked, being full of water all that time. So the next step was get the transfer case all cleaned up. So took it to the Varsol bath, cleaned it all out, into the sandblaster it went, and this is the finished result. So it come out nice and clean, no cracks, no defects. The case is actually in pretty good shape, so it's rebuildable. That's a good sign. Well, here we have a box full of new parts. Here's all our transfer case parts there. So there's all the gears in there, the 1.1/8" shaft, all new bearings, full gasket seal kit. Yeah, pretty much everything you need to build a transfer case, including the park brake and the springs for the park brake. So there it is in all its glory. Now we've got all the parts now, we just got to figure out how to put them back in the box. So I picked up a manual right at the beginning of this project. So I do have the actual Willys service manual, which helps putting stuff together. Plus, YouTube's a good resource. So it gives you all kinds of tips on how to set the preload on the bearing, on the output shaft there, how to do it with a dial indicator. Also good tips on YouTube. Like I said, it's a wonderful resource. There's the front output shaft. One of the tools was handy to have from the aviation toolbox was this set of lock wire pliers, so I could lock wire the shift yoke for the four-wheel drive. And through the marvels of modern editing, there it is, boom, done. So there's the transfer case, all put back together and ready to assemble, ready to join it up with the T90 transmission. So now the transfer case is all done, I guess we're moving on to the transmission next. And I'd like to say that the transmission was in far better shape than the transfer case, but I'd be lying. It was also pretty much a ball of crap. Not a lot of usable parts on the inside. She was pretty full of crap. So it's going to be a complete rebuild on this as well. Yeah, in fact, I had to use a little persuasion. I had to use a big puller to get the second, third synchro off the main shaft on the disassembly. So yeah, it was in pretty rough shape. Some of the parts in this transmission probably could have been reused, but I ordered a complete set of gears, basically all the guts in there. The shifter tower itself came apart and was actually in pretty good shape, so it just got rebuilt and cleaned up. So this is the front piece of the transmission there. This is where the throw bearing rides on. I got it chucked up here in the lathe, and I'm just going to get this all cleaned up here and make it nice and smooth. So that cleaned that up nice. I cleaned the inside out real good, cleaned it up with some Varsol, give her some red insulating varnish and a little bit of paint, and just like that, just like a brand new part. So the next step was to get the case all cleaned up. So if anybody has any idea what all these numbers are all about, maybe just leave a comment there down below. So the case is all cleaned up, got it all sandblasted, and same thing, give it a good going over, a good cleaning, and then give it a shot of paint. And then it was time to order some parts. So I got some parts from Willys Acres. So Willys Acres is a Canadian supplier of Jeep parts. They're located in north of Toronto, southern Ontario. So there's my invoice. So hide that from the light. Comes with, looks like we got a full gasket set, some little O-rings, looks like a little felt seal, packing. Bearing, and then we have the small parts kit. So in here is some thrush washers, bunch of needle bearings. Oh, looks like the little dogs for the synchronizer. So let's supply stuff in there. That's kind of cool. What's in this one? That is the lower transmission out. That's good. Looks like an idler shaft of some sort. Another gear. Here we have the synchronizer. That is a second gear synchronizer. Here we have, oh, the cluster gear, and it's all wrapped up in goop. So I'm guessing I'll have to wipe that goop off somehow. Here we have, I'm guessing, oh, now this is, to be fair, he did tell me to sell me some used parts. This is indeed a used part, but it's in pretty darn good shape, I think. It's maybe dirty, but it's actually not rusty, so that's good. So it's another gear. This is my input shaft, I think. There it is, a brand new input shaft. Right on. So some of those little needle bearings will go in there. The one thing I actually am missing is this bearing right now. It's back ordered. So. And there is my reverse idler gear. So, what do I got in here? The reverse idler shaft. Yes. Here is the refurbished case. This is the output gear. This goes right here. The transmission into the transfer case. So this transmission was a complete mess when I got it. Yeah, the top was off this one. I ended up with 2 units. So anyways, 2 transmissions, 2 transfer cases, 2 Jeeps essentially. This was the better one of the 2, so it's all been taken apart, cleaned up, and sandblasted. I just have the top shifter. The shifter mechanism has been all refurbished, so it's all in good shape. So it's just bolted on there just to keep it all together. But now I have the guts. So here it is. Here's all the guts for my transmission. It's coming right along. So Kevin at TJ's Auto got me my new front bearing. Then I managed to get the wax off of the new old stock cluster gear, and pretty much had all my parts together ready to reassemble. So if you tuned in thinking I was going to show you how to rebuild a T90 transmission, sorry folks, this isn't your video. There's lots of guys on YouTube who really know their stuff. Metal Shaper is a good example. This fella, he knows Jeeps inside out. Not much about a Jeep he can't fix. The Larson Garage, this fellow goes through a T90 transmission. He's got the manual and real good instructions.
Make sure I don't do anything wrong putting it back together. And there's no vac quotes on their website. This is the most enjoyable transmission to rebuild.
You know, there's lots of resources out there. Another fellow out there that's doing it, I think I'm saying this right, is Shinshausen. He's another fellow anyways who does YouTube videos. So you don't need me telling you how to put one together. There's plenty of folks out there who already know how to do that. Did have one little hiccup with my new parts. The cluster gear was missing the cutouts for the rear thrust washer, and when I put it in the case, it was extremely tight. It was very tight, so I had to cut those grooves in, and fortunately I put it in the lathe and machined it down and got those clearances back. So it looks like they skipped a step when they built that piece. But thanks to the manual and the help from the friendly folks on YouTube, we managed to get this thing all reassembled and put back together, and it's even got all the gears in it, so that's a good sign. Next step is to mate it to the transfer case. So for this, I just kind of blocked it up on the bench and started stacking stuff together. Transmission bolted there, got the bell housing installed, and there you go. Pretty soon we've got a complete T90 transmission with the Dana 18 transfer case, bell housing, ready to go. So I had to build a special tool to hold the cluster gear in place and get the bearings in there. So now I've got this in my toolbox for next time. So there it is, folks. Another bite taken out of the elephant. The transmission transfer case is all rebuilt and ready to reinstall. The only thing is now it's too damn heavy for me to pick up and carry around, but there it is, all rebuilt.